Okay, we're going to go over one of the problems from our similar shapes doc that we did earlier this week. I picked one of the ones that was a little bit harder because the two shapes are, one of them is right side up and one of them is upside down, and sometimes that could be confusing for you guys. So I'm going to kind of show you step by step how I would solve this problem. So I'm going to show you on Photo Booth. The first thing I notice is that this shape is going the opposite direction as this shape. What I want to know first are my dimensions. My dimensions are how much it's going across the base and then how much it's going up and down, the height, and for the same for this triangle. So the first thing I did was I went ahead and flipped it on my notebook so I could see exactly what I was working with. Whoops, that was supposed to be in video. So I went ahead and made I flipped this in my notebook, so now you could see that I labeled the sides, and I have 2 across on the base for the small one and 6 across on the base from the big one. I have 9 up and down for the height on the big one, and then 3 up and down for the height on the small one. Now it's time to determine whether or not these shapes are similar. So what I need to do next is to find out what number I multiply the smaller number by to get to the bigger number. In order to do that, I need to divide. So I'm going to take my bases and match them up. Let me get off here really quick and show you this. So as I already said, right here we're going 2 across, and right here we're going 6 across. Up and down we're 3 across, and then up and down we're 9 across. So on my notebook I'm going to write down 6 divided by 2. And if you're one of the people who need a calculator, that's fine. You can calculate it on your calculator, and I'm getting 3. Alright? And then you could see here that I drew an arrow from my 6, or from my 2 to my 6, and since dividing is the opposite of multiplying, that means I'm going to multiply 2 by 3 to get to 6. So I would show it just like this. 2 times 3 is 6. The next thing I'm going to do is draw an arrow from 3 to the 9. And I multiply 3 times 3 to get to 9. Since 9 divided by 3 is 3, that means that 3 times 3 equals 9. And so I label it just like this on my notebook. Then I decide that these shapes are in fact similar. And the reason that these shapes are similar is because they have the same scale factor. So let's go back to the Google Doc. I need to answer the questions about this on the next slide. So I'm going to go to the next slide. And the only question I'm worried about is on the left-hand side, because they are scale factors. I've determined that. So my scale factor from small to big is times 3. The tricky part is finding the scale factor from big to small. But what I'm going to show you on the notebook next is going to be something that I feel that we should get in the habit of doing. When I make a division problem, I want to show it like a fraction. So I'm going to show the division of both of my sides in the notebook here, just like I would a fraction. So instead of saying 9 divided by 3, I'm going to go 9 over 3. That tells me that my answer is going to be 3 for both of them. See? The next thing I'm going to do, because I want to find my big to small. So if I'm finding big to small, I need to make the shape smaller. I know that if I'm multiplying by something to make something smaller, I'm multiplying by a number that is less than 1. So really, the only thing that I need to do with these original fractions here is flip them. So instead of saying 9 divided by 3, I'm going to say 3 divided by 9, and I'll write that down in a second. Instead of saying 6 divided by 2, I'm going to say 2 divided by 6. So I have it here. Now another tricky part is to know what number I could multiply to get to both of those. I need to know what my common factor is. Since I'm not going to try to trick you at all, I'm going to guess that my top number is going to be a common factor for both of them. So I'm going to divide both the 3 and the 9 by 3. And when I do that, I have 1/3. I'm going to do the same thing with 2 and 6. My top number is 2, so I'm going to assume that that is a common factor for both 2 and 6. I divide 2 divided by 2 and I get 1. I divide 6 divided by 2 and I get 3. So now I know that my scale factor from big to small is 1/3. So now that you saw that, I'm going to go ahead and input this into my Google Doc. I know we did a lot of dividing, but whenever we talk about scale factor, we always have to say that we're timesing a number by another number. So my scale factor from big to small is times 1/3. You may close this video. On the next slide, there's going to be a practice problem just like that. Please solve the practice problem in your notebook. Have me check it before you move on to the next video.